Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Yashodanandana Rajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Rajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jai Prabhupada. Jaya Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devin Saraswatin Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashta Prayashu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavate Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtike. So we're reading this morning from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 24, text number 4. The chapter is entitled Renunciation of Kardama Muni. Tvayārādhitaḥ śuklo, tvayārādhitaḥ śuklo, vitanvan māmakam yaśaḥ, vitanvan māmakam yaśaḥ, chettā hṛdaya-granthim, chettā hṛdaya-granthi, audaryo brahma-bhāvanaḥ, audaryo brahma-bhāvanaḥ, tvayārādhitaḥ śuklo, vitanvan māmakam yaśaḥ, chettā hṛdaya-granthim, audaryo brahma-bhāvana, tvayārādhitaḥ śuklo, vitanvan māmakam yaśaḥ, chettā hṛdaya-granthim, audaryo brahma-bhāvana. Vaishnavis. word for word. Saha, he, tvayā, by you, ārādhitaḥ, being worshipped, śuklo, the personality of Godhead, vitanvan, spreading, māmakam, my, yaśaḥ, fame, chettā, he will cut, tvayā, hṛdaya, of the heart, granthim, not, audaryaḥ, your son, Brahma, knowledge of Brahman, bhāvanaḥ, teaching. Translation: the personality of Godhead, being worshipped by you, will spread my name and fame. He will vanquish the knot of your heart by becoming your son and teaching knowledge of Brahman. So please repeat: the personality of Godhead, being worshipped by you, will spread my name and fame. He will vanquish the knot of your heart by becoming your son and teaching knowledge of Brahman. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. When the Supreme Personality of Godhead comes to disseminate spiritual knowledge for the benefit of all people, he generally descends as the son of a devotee, being pleased by the devotee's devotional service. The personality of Godhead is the father of everyone. Therefore, no one is his father. But by his inconceivable energy, he accepts some of the devotees as his parents and descendants. It is explained here that spiritual knowledge vanquishes the knot of the heart. Matter and spirit are knotted by false ego. This identification of oneself with matter, which is called hṛdaya-granthi, exists for all conditioned souls. And it becomes more and more tightened when there is too much affection for sex life. The explanation was given by Lord Ṛṣabha to his sons that this material world is an atmosphere of attraction between male and female. The attraction takes the shape of a knot in the heart, and by material affection it becomes still more tight for people who hanker after material possessions. Society, friendship and love, this knot of affection becomes very strong. It is only by brahma-bhāvana, the instruction by which the spiritual knowledge is enhanced, that the knot in the heart is cut to pieces. No material weapon is needed to cut this knot, but it requires bona fide spiritual instruction. Kardama Muni instructed his wife Devahuti that the Lord will appear as his son and disseminate spiritual knowledge to cut the knot of material identification. The personality of Godhead, being worshipped by you, will spread my name and fame. He will vanquish the knot of your heart by becoming your son and teaching knowledge of Brahman. Om Jnana-timirandasya Gnanjanan Shalakaya Chakshuron Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jaya Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Gaurachandra Jaya Deta Chandra Jaya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Jaya Gadadhar Jaya Srinivas Jaya Mukunda Vasudeva Jai Haridas Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhavacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So it's wonderful to be in the association of so many wonderful devotees. bright, happy faces in the holy land of Shri Shri Panchatattva. I offer each one of you my obeisances. Anantakuti Vaishnav Vrindi Ki Jai. And so in the company of so many wonderful devotees, it's also even more wonderful to read from the Paramahamsa Samhita, such a potent and powerful verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam this morning. Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. So this combination of sadhu and this combination of hearing from the Srimad Bhagavatam and the association of devotees is very precious, is very auspicious, and very invaluable. Some or the other we have the opportunity by the grace of Srila Prabhupada to do this, and we are grateful for that. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in his discussion with Devananda Pandit, he says, Mahachintya Bhagavata Sarva Shastrakai. He's saying all the Shastras say that the Srimad Bhagavatam is the most inconceivable. Lord Chaitanya even tells Sanatana Goswami that the Srimad Bhagavatam is identical with Krishna. In each verse, in each syllable, there is unlimited meaning. So Bhagavatam describes, if I remember correctly, something like 3,000 humans and celestials, and descriptions of more than 30 avatars of Lord Vishnu. So in these 12 cantos, the universal history is recounted. Here we are reading about family life, household life of two devotees. So one may question, if Srimad Bhagavatam is about pure devotional service, why is this narration in the Srimad Bhagavatam? But of course, Kardama Muni and Devahuti are not ordinary people. Actually, the Lord appeared personally before Kardama Muni. And Kardama Muni asked for a blessing that he might get a wife of equal disposition. Because his service was that he was one of the progenitors of the universe. So he needed to have such assistance for his service. So in this fourth canto, we read about these two very exceptional personalities. Devahuti, the granddaughter of the Creator. Can you imagine? She's a granddaughter of the Creator. Her father is Swayambhu Manu. Very exalted personality. He's one of the 14 Manus. These Manus will live for a very long time, something like 72 times the Mahayuga, 72 times, 4 times the Yugas. So they live in Mahaloka, a planet above the heavenly planets. So Devahuti, we could say, had a very privileged life. By all means, having Manu as your father, living in a real estate, in the higher planet, where existence every day was like Satya Yuga. So she was clearly no ordinary person. Yet she asked to marry a Muni, an ascetic. Here we see a royal princess married to a renunciant, swapping the comforts of palace for the austerities of a forest. From the soft, comfortable life to a severe, austere existence on the banks of a river. She gave up her beauty. Imagine a princess of that stature, of that pedigree, gives up her beauty of satin and silk, carries firewood in the service of her husband. Her hair becomes disheveled and tangled, lives in a simple cottage. She was totally relying on the strength of her spiritual husband. Of course, he was an extraordinary sage. He lived as a hermit on the bank of a river. He had no possessions. He had nothing to offer Devahuti. He had no facility. He had no comfort. But later he would do extraordinary things in her service. So given that Devahuti comes in this very exalted spiritual lineage, she understood the goal of life. She understood that trade-off between her life in the Mahaloka, above Mahaloka, for the palace to the hermitage, from extreme comforts to what must be very painful austerity. Imagine, later on, Kardama Muni will build a castle in the sky that, moved by desire, extraordinary abundance, no match, no comparison, no record of any householder ever doing this for their wives, as far as I know. I haven't seen a householder who could offer his wife a celestial palace in the sky that moved by a desire for her service. So their family life was very pure, was very simple, an example of pure household life, an example that can motivate us, because embedded in this particular pastime is a great lesson, a formula for success. As I was saying, devotee's spiritual pedigree is second to none, extremely exalted person. Yet they married, had children. Now her husband is preparing. When we get to this verse in the Bhagavatam, her husband is preparing to leave home. And he makes the statement that the personality of Godhead will vanquish the knot in your heart and become your son, which means the devotee had the knot in her heart. Although she was in the association of such a saintly personality, she had that knot in her heart. Kardama Muni got married, remember, after he had done austerity. He lived for a long time. They say he was in family lives for 100 autumns. And he did austerity for 10,000 years. And in the completion of that austerity, he asked for this boon, to have a wife of equal disposition. So because she did all the duties perfectly, or he did all the duties perfectly, he executed it perfectly, he had the Lord's blessings. As evident from this pastime, because Lord Kapila, a Sakshava's avatar who taught Sankhya philosophy, became his son. So after years of marriage and after years of enjoyment, Devahuti was remorseful. And she makes, in the previous verses, it makes a very powerful reading. She says, we've wasted so much time. So Kardama Muni is about to leave home. He tells her, you will have a son who is none other the Supreme Lord. Of course, when the Lord appears, he appears, as Prabhupada is saying, in the family of devotees. The Lord will here remove the knot that's in her heart through instructions on devotional service. Srila Prabhupada specifically says that the Lord appears as the son of a devotee. First, Krishna is Aja, he's unborn. So the unborn cannot be born. But he personally comes to this earth planet occasionally. He has no material home, no material birth, no material purpose. He enacts the most glorious pastimes. In Goloka, where Krishna lives, there's no Janmashtami festival there. Janmashtami is only celebrated on the earth, and therefore, whenever we celebrate Janmashtami, it's so gripping, right? It's enthralling, it's exciting, it's riveting. We fast without any effort till midnight because it's such a beautiful experience. Therefore, great devotees like Prahlad Maharaj, one of the 12 Mahajans, also celebrates Janmashtami, also fasts till midnight, in the same spirit that Srila Prabhupada taught us. Because this trans-phenomenal world, this Vaikuntha, spiritual Goloka, it's eternal, it's permanent, it operates outside the influence of time as we understand time. Their time has no value, it has no effect, it has no power, it's totally defanged. Nothing there retards or depreciates, nothing gets impaired, nothing is devalued. And everyone aspires to go there, right? So when Krishna comes, it's lokahitam, it's most auspicious to humanity. It's udara, it's gracious, it gives pleasure to the hearts of the devotees. So Kardama Muni is telling his wife, he's about to go, she is remorseful, he's telling her, you will have the Supreme Lord as your son. Those are his words of comfort to her. Here Lord Kapila, of course he's also one of the 12 Mahajans, he's an empowered incarnation, will give his mother very valuable devotional instructions and devotional service. Sri Sri Nrsingadev Bhagavan Ki Jai. Bona fide spiritual instruction. Srila Prabhupada says that this identification with matter, which is called hṛdaya-granthi, it exists for all conditioned souls, from the tiny insect all the way to Lord Brahma. It becomes more and more tightened, it's like a noose. So for people who hanker after material possessions, they hanker after society, friendship, love, this knot of affection becomes exponentially greater, steel-wired. And it has a multiplying effect without us even noticing it. It's like a booby trap. You know what a booby trap is? It's a booby trap. This material body is a booby trap. And the modes of nature is it all seems so normal actually. So this knot is a catalyst. It's a catalyst for us to pursue things senselessly, without thinking deep enough. A great dash to the end, only to meet a deadly crash called death, and everything is all over. But the whole world rotates around this principle, this idea, this aspirational living. So Lord Kapila is telling Kardama, my appearance in this world, to explain the philosophy of Sankhya, which is highly esteemed for self-realization, for those desiring freedom from the entanglement of unnecessary material desires. That's what Lord Kapila tells Kardama Muni. So on Srila Prabhupada's arrival at the Boston Harbor, it's interesting, Srila Prabhupada wrote this. He said, all living entities are under the control of this illusory energy. By your will, my Lord, they can be released from the control of illusory energy. This illusory energy is such a powerful thing. It's almost invincible, almost invisible. You cannot see it. You know, sometimes a soldier gets caught behind enemy lines, right? Being under the influence of illusory energy is like being caught behind enemy lines. You're stranded. You're alone. You're trapped by Maya's grip, and everything seems, you're fearful, but everything seems that you have hope that somebody is going to come and rescue you. So just consider the deluding power of this illusory energy. We see one generation leaves, another generation replaces them. Both those generations chase the same thing. The first generation didn't catch it, the second hopes they will catch it, and they both disappear with Krishna's influence of time, become victims to death. So the common man is toiling so hard, it's to the point of exhaustion. His eyes are not satisfied by seeing whatever he hears. His ears are full, but he's not satisfied. So that hanking, that aspiration must have at all costs have a particular life. It's such a strong impetus. So in spite of our best efforts in this world, and many persons have tried this, the best efforts in this world, you run up against the limitation of our senses. Even if you have some assistance for the senses, like a glass or a telescope, it still does not give that elusive happiness that we're looking for. So Srimad Bhagavatam says that with the rising and the setting of every sun, we've lost a day forever. Bhagavatam also says the world is now what it was in the past, and it'll be the same in the future. What Sukadeva Goswami is saying, there's nothing new in this world. It's a dull material world where the modes of nature torment the jiva soul, chewing the chewed. There's the coming and going of kings, coming and going of husbands, coming and going of wives, coming and going of children, coming and going of relatives, and that knot in the heart, this hṛdaya-granthim, that false identification with matter, it just generates such an insatiable desire to own and exploit that it propels generations, great philosophers, and they just chase the wind, chase this temporary fleeting thing that they could never ever catch. So all of this is propelled by attachment to something or to someone. Shri Shri Radha Madhava Ki Jai. So in this pastime, what we learn is that attachment is very difficult to give up. Devahuti is such an exalted personality, she's feeling like this. Her husband is getting ready to leave. In her case, she's comforted by his words, but her lamentation arose from her realization. Although she was married to a great sage, she had his association every day. She says, in her own words, that she was focused on sensory pleasure. She was fearful when she heard her husband was leaving. She described material life as full of fear, full of anxiety. Now her husband's about to go and she's asking for fearlessness. Therefore she pleads for knowledge of the Supreme. She acknowledges, I did not properly use my time in your association. I've lost that opportunity. I only chased mundane things. So she's so remorseful that she wasted so much time because Kardama Muni was not an ordinary sage. You know, one day I was doing Sankirtan and we ended up at someone's house. It was around dinner time. I happened to know the person. And at this dinner table was this extremely wealthy man, wealthy beyond imagination. And there was one sannyasi sitting there. This sannyasi was not a Vaishnava sannyasi, he was some other line, but very elderly, long white beard, been a sannyasi for a long time. He even had a skull that he was drinking water from. Saffron robes and long white bearded hair. And he was sitting on this, he was the center of the, you get one personality, he was the center of the occasion. So he was the center of the occasion. And while we were discussing, he refers to his past family. And suddenly, in my presence, and I'm telling you this is no illusion, he put his hand into his kurta or something, and he pulled out a photograph of his wife. Yeah. His face beamed up, his voice choked. There were some tears in his eyes. Such is the nature of attachment. All external dressings of a renunciant, yet internally a hostage to your own being. Such a person, Prabhupada says, can't impart real knowledge because there's no realization. So from a devotee's perspective, attachment can be uplifting. If you take a simple example in the pastime of Shivananda Sen, a dog was following him. The dog was in the Harinam party. The dog was partaking in the Harinam. Shivananda Sen would feed this dog. The dog would follow him. When he had to go away one day, he asked his assistants, please serve the dog, give the dog its boga. But the assistants forgot to do that. And what does Shivananda say? Oh, this dog is my guest. It had to fast the whole day, so I will fast also, because the dog is my guest. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw Shivananda Sen's affection for this dog, what he did? From his own hand, he fed the dog coconut pulp, I think it was, yeah? And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would feed this dog, and this dog would rise its legs and chant Hare Krishna. The dog. And eventually, this dog boarded the Vaikuntha plane and went back home, back to Godhead. Imagine, in this case, a devotee's attachment. How auspicious that even to an animal like a dog, he uplifted the dog. So devotee can help untie the false ego. But a real devotee, not my friend with a skull in his hand. You have to be properly connected and really, so the winning of affection of a sincere devotee can liberate one. Devahuti is lamenting here that I was in the company of such a saintly person. I never banked the opportunity. I cannot now reclaim the opportunity. I did not take full advantage. And, devotees generally devotees will experience are afraid to fiddle with material nature. You have a certain level of caution. You don't want to get into an environment where material nature can just swallow you. So you want to stay in the association of devotees. The risk is too high. And the example is Sukadeva Goswami. He didn't want to be born. I think he was in the womb of his mother for 12 years or something? 12 years, yeah. And when he came out, he just ran away naked. He didn't want to have anything to do with the test. His father is Vyasudeva, the author of the Vedas. Oh, my son, come back. I have to initiate you and go through all of these processes. I have to guide you and give you instructions. Sukadeva Goswami wasn't interested. He didn't want to have anything to do. He abandoned his home and his family even as he stepped out into the world. So Srila Prabhupada says in the Purport that there is a way out of this maze. There's an exit route. There's a great escape plan to mitigate the risk of misidentifying the body with matter. And Srila Prabhupada says that means you need spiritual instruction. And Prabhupada used the word bona fide spiritual instruction. There are many kinds of spiritual instruction, but bona fide spiritual instruction to untie the knot in the heart. My sannyasi friend will not be able to give you bona fide spiritual instruction. What's needed is spiritual instruction. Here Lord Kapila will instruct his mother, and he's God, right? But it's not that any conditioned soul walking anywhere in the world can, some random person can get God as their son, or get that they will get knowledge. Knowledge is the game changer. When you get transcendental knowledge, it rewires one's thinking, one's lifestyle changes. It reinforms one's priorities. So one cannot get this transcendental knowledge from a random person walking on the street. Prabhupada is using this word, bona fide spiritual instructor. For us in the Krishna conscious movement, Srila Prabhupada is that bona fide spiritual instructor. Srila Prabhupada and his dedicated followers. We have Srila Prabhupada's books, which is the essence of all knowledge, and all that is needed to untie the knot in the heart, to melt that false ego into pure ego, is to know what's in these books. The words, the sentences, the paragraphs, and the pages of Srila Prabhupada's books is the weapon that can undo the knot. It's very sharp, it's very concise, it cuts the ignorance, the weapons for every occasion, and it's in every language. Srila Prabhupada's books. So we have evidence. Look around us. It's not a hypothesis. Many of us here have come from backgrounds that one would normally not end up in devotion. But a book, the touch of the book, the reading of a paragraph, the seeing of a devotee is what was the catalyst for change. So many have taken to devotional life because of Srila Prabhupada's books. So the exchanges between these great sages of the earth and a long time ago, their perfect questions and answers is now explained to us by Srila Prabhupada. You see, you and I don't have the privilege of being the daughter or the son of Manu or the father of God. But we have the privilege of getting Prabhupada's books. Srila Prabhupada in this way is the benefactor of all the people in the universe. Because Srila Prabhupada, you see, the mood of the parampara, our parampara, is that we receive, we relish, and then we distribute. That's a mood, is sharing. We are a sharing movement, a distribution movement. We have a logistics chain. You know what a logistics chain is? From the BBT warehouse onto the street. No matter where you are in the world, there's always a book available, and that book could change someone's life. So what Lord Kapila will do for his mother, transcendental knowledge. God descended to give transcendental knowledge. Srila Prabhupada did for us. Can you imagine the comparison? What Kapila Dev did for his mother Devahuti, Srila Prabhupada would do for us. Because we are common, unfortunate people. Manda sumanda matayo. We're short-lived, we're quarrelsome. Are we quarrelsome? We don't quarrel each other, do we? I don't think devotees quarrel with each other. I've not experienced that. But we are short-lived for sure. We are misguided, unlucky, always disturbed, ready to pick a fight if something doesn't go my way. Lord Kapila, what he gave in Satya Yuga, that ripe golden age, Srila Prabhupada packaged it in the middle of Kali Yuga and gave exactly the same things to the most undeserving people. Can you imagine the gratitude we should have for Srila Prabhupada, for that Raja Vidya knowledge that he has given? Srila Prabhupada's words in his book, everything that he has written, whether you're fortunate or unfortunate, wealthy or poor, no discrimination. Like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda, they're the best of the Brahmanas, right? They're the protectors of religious principles, and they wanted to make the creation dance. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to make the creation dance. Srila Prabhupada's books and teachings is exactly the same. He opened our hearts to a life and give us a preview of what life would be in the eternal world. So it's our great fortune to be part of ISKCON. We should relish that, sometimes contemplate that. Srila Prabhupada has descended for us. No consideration of my status, my birth, my caste, my standing, my gender. He gave us exactly what Lord Kapila gave to his mother Devahuti. Transcendental eternal knowledge, the science of devotional service, because he's a bona fide spiritual master giving a bona fide instruction. So for us to properly reciprocate Srila Prabhupada's generosity, all we need to do is be very chaste, very faithful, very loyal, very appreciative, feel very obligated to Srila Prabhupada and the devotees, and have a sense of indebtedness. Be anxious to defray the debt we owe to Srila Prabhupada. You know, sometimes we do venture and we read other books. Jiva Goswami did that. Jiva Goswami, in order to present the Gaudiya Siddhanta, he had to read on all these other things in Benares. But still, even for scholarly pursuit, we read other things. But we use Srila Prabhupada's books as the reference point. It's the only reference point, the yardstick and the baseline for anything we do in ISKCON. It's the spiritual compass. Srila Prabhupada's books is our GPS. Srila Prabhupada's books is our GPS. It will direct us to the lotus feet of Krishna. We don't need anything else. But we do look at other things for the purpose of maybe getting more confidence, some comparative studies there, but never ever does Srila Prabhupada, the flavor of what Srila Prabhupada has given. For example, take Ramanujacharya, his great acharya. He was focused on Vishnu Purana. Ramanuja and Madhava, they would quote a lot from Shruti because they were challenging Shankaracharya. Madhavacharya placed a lot of relevance on Mahabharata because Mahabharata glorifies Hanuman and Madhavacharya is an expansion of Hanuman. Right? Where Srila Prabhupada is, their followers, they really, present their founding teacher in a very powerful way for thousands of years. So, my point here is that we may have views and strong views, and we might read other commentaries, and Srila Prabhupada's views matter. Our founder Acharya's view is the pivotal view, the beacon that guides us. Because he said that, I've given you the Bhagavatam, I've given you the books. Nothing pleases me more than distributing these books, and these books are the law books for the next 10,000 years. If they're the law books, it's the reference book, right? Srila Prabhupada's books is as powerful as that. So ISKCON is an expression of Srila Prabhupada's flavor, what he emphasized as the bona fide teacher. He has given all things necessary to cut the knot in the heart. He had a particular approach, Srila Prabhupada had a particular angle, a particular perspective. We align to that vision. We look through the lens that Srila Prabhupada looked through. Like others follow their teacher, we follow Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada is in the mood of Lord Nityananda. What is Lord Nityananda doing? He is distributing the message door to door, hand to hand. This is Srila Prabhupada's message. He considered that to be the highest service. So like a fire is kindled from wood by another fire, so our consciousness is kindled by Srila Prabhupada's divine grace. This is an important principle. So it's our duty to follow in the footsteps of Srila Prabhupada. Then the knot in the heart becomes untied. That knot becomes loosened. You see the sweat that drips from Sankirtan, from preaching efforts, that sweat, it becomes oil that lubricates and loosens a knot in the heart. That's the secret. That's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement is very special. It's hṛdaya-granthim. There is every species of life, as I said, cannot escape this hṛdaya-granthim. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur even said, there will come a day where these books will be translated into the languages of the birds and the beasts, and they will benefit from transcendental knowledge. So that same transcendental knowledge that Lord Kapila got, that he gave, is what Prabhupada gave to us, and therefore Srila Prabhupada is the most munificent personality. I want to conclude with something very interesting. You see, Devahuti in the previous verses, she's very remorseful and she's very regretful. She laments and says, I wasted so much time. I wasted so much time. Consider her father is Manu, who lives for what, 72 Mahayugas or something like that, a very long time. So she must live for a very long time. Human beings live what, for 60 years? That's 21,900 days. If you're 70 years, it's 25,550 days. If you get to 80 years, 29,200 days. Compare that to Manu and compare that. It's really insignificant. Huh? Krishna's Kala Shakti, this Kalaushmi, that invisible power that depreciates, devalues, destroys everything without us perceptively being aware of it. Devotee is lamenting that she's lost her youth, she's wasted time. And Rupa Goswami explains this in the Nectar of Devotion, where he says that a serious devotee never wastes time. Like Devahuti is lamenting here, we wasted so much time, we're riding in our celestial palace, because every moment is incredibly precious. Cannot be regained, even with millions of dollars. Nectar of Devotion says, what's that verse? Avyartha kalatvam. Avoiding wasting. A sign of an advanced devotee is that they are constantly checking. Bhaktivinoda Thakur will keep a clock on himself. Are we wasting time? Every moment should be used for Krishna's service. And Sridhar Swami comments that there's no remedy exists in this world to counteract the effects of time. Imagine this time factor, how powerful it is. what devotee is lamenting about. It's insurmountable, it's imperceptible. She's saying that she's lost her youth. You have money, power, family, all of these fallible assets are there, fallible soldiers, but when death comes, nobody could save you. Huh? The living entity as a spiritual being, it says, no matter how extravagantly we get organized, we cannot get shelter in this world because the time factor will destroy everything. Any more than a land can shelter a fish. So devotee is lamenting very deeply about this time factor, and we know when Mahavishnu opens his eyes, time starts. Isn't it? It's a stopwatch. When he closes his eyes, time ends. So it's a race for the jiva. Because time is unceasing. It's that all-powerful force under whose control events unfold. Something we take for granted. Time is so powerful. Even if you put a pot of water on the stove, if there's no time factor, the pot of water won't come to boil. It'll just remain on the stove. If I stand in a river and the water goes past my feet, that water is gone forever. It cannot be recalled. In the same way, time is. It can't be purchased, it can't be repurchased, it can't be replaced, it can't be substituted, it can't be swapped, it can't be recycled, it can't be traded, it can't be stopped, it can't be accelerated, it can't be slowed. It's beyond our control, and that time factor is what devotee is saying. She regrets so much. There's time that is gone forever. No one owns it. It's the most valuable thing, yet no stock exchange in the world can trade in it, because no one owns it. It's Krishna's energy. So devotee says we wasted so much time, because time rules the life of every atom, every king, every galaxy, every microbe. We are all subjected to the destruction of time. So to loosen that knot in the heart, we use the time that we have in Krishna's service, and every day, one strand after the other, it would become loosened. It would become loosened, but the shelter is in the pages of Srila Prabhupada's books. So to conclude, today is the first day of the GBC meeting, so we want to get there a little earlier. To conclude, Srila Prabhupada points out that spiritual knowledge from a bona fide spiritual source is the sure way to cut this knot. And Srila Prabhupada says that 4 things are necessary for being attached to Krishna. 1, regular study of Srimad Bhagavatam. 2, always be cheerful in the association of devotees. Don't for a moment discount the value of Vaishnava Sangha and Vaishnavi Sangha. Don't for a moment devalue. We accept the lotus feet of Krishna as our ultimate shelter in our lives, and we must be very pleased to perform devotional service, because devotional service is the only currency that the Supreme Personality of Godhead trades in. If somebody says actually I met somebody the other day who told me, no, I meditate. That's the perfection. So I asked him, okay, close your eyes and meditate. So he was meditating. I said, what do you feel? He says, no, I'm meditating. So I said, okay, just consider this, right? Now you were meditating, and now there's a knock on the door. And you open the door now, and you open it, there's Krishna and Balaram there. Will you meditate? What will you do? You'll call them in, offer them a seat, offer some water. What is that? That is service. So the essence is devotional service. What Kapila Muni is giving is the science of devotional service. What Srila Prabhupada gave to the most unfortunate people like us is devotional service. And that devotional service will lend you back to the lotus feet of Shri Radha and Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. We have a minute if somebody wants to say something. Oh my God, Badri Narayan Swami himself.
Okay, you're glorifying the Bhagavatam. But they say the same thing about the Bible, the same thing about the Quran. This is, how do I know this is just not, either blind fanaticism or sentimentality? What's so special about the Bhagavatam?
Yes.
And let me say this. I ask this because exuding from you in this wonderful class, really was an excellent class, was a love of the Bhagavatam. So therefore I'm asking this question.
So Srimad Bhagavatam, a great king is cursed to die within 7 days. You and I also cursed to die within 7 days, from one Sunday to the next. We just don't know which 7 days it is. That's one difference, if we understand the very essential beginnings of Bhagavatam. Number two is that the Bhagavatam is giving realized knowledge. It's not theoretical knowledge. We read something, we practice it, and we feel it's a spiritual chemical reaction. You actually experience it. It's not something that's hypothetical. It's not a hypothesis. It's real. And it gives you knowledge, Maharaj, I would say, that changes one's character, changes one's behavior. Not like that person I was talking about with the skull in his hands, you know. So Bhagavatam gives that transcendental knowledge, and therefore it stands on top of everything else that there may ever be. And it's given by Sukadeva Goswami, who's totally self-realized. What did you say, Maharaj, if I had to ask you the question in reverse?
I knew I was going to get a challenge. Go ahead. No, I don't want to take up time. You speak. It's an excellent class.
Any other comments? Questions? Maharaj, we're only taking comments. Questions from sannyasis could be a bit difficult.
Thank you, Prabhu, for your wonderful class. You were mentioning about Srila Prabhupada's books, which we are meant to have all of the conclusion of his teachings to be found, and it will be for the next 10,000 years like the law book. So my question is, it's like the acharyas, they have different ways how to see the sastra. How about us? Can we have also a different way of how we can see the sastra according to Srila Prabhupada's teachings, but of different opinions, and how we can reconcile if there are different opinions amongst those who are studying Srila Prabhupada's books, or there's only one aligned, straight line. Nothing can be changed.
No, it's a tripartite system, sadhu, guru and shastra. Shastra is the foundation. So, you know, sadhu will say something, guru will say something, it has to reconcile with shastra. Yeah? The point I was making is that Srila Prabhupada's ISKCON is unique in the sense that Srila Prabhupada's view will be the dominant view, principally speaking, on any subject matter, because ISKCON is Srila Prabhupada's ISKCON. Even if you look like, what's his name? Charvaki, or the atheist? What's his name? Is that his name? Charvaka, the atheist? I mean, he was of the view that, and people followed him. He was the view that he was an atheist, right? There's no previous life, there's no next life, enjoy, there's no karma, everything has to be seen to be believed. That was his view. But even a common child can defeat that argument. You can see that different people have different backgrounds and different intellectual things, and they're born differently, and there's so much of variety. It cannot be that there isn't a previous life. Now, Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, he's given us these purports, the realization of all the previous acharyas. He brought it all together and made it easy for us. Manda sumanda matayo, because we don't have the time and we are unfortunate. So Srila Prabhupada's view in that sense will always prevail. In the theological sense, the main issues are never ever, there are some philosophical things that are there. Right? But because we're coming in parampara, Srila Prabhupada's not going to say or do something that's against the parampara. Right? But with social circumstances and things that people might have views about different things. But our view is that I know of devotees who've never read a book of anybody else except Srila Prabhupada. They don't even read the Goswami's books. They don't read Sandarbhas or anything. They just... Actually, Gopal Krishna Maharaj told me one day that I only read Prabhupada's books. Yeah, that's what he told me. So, you know, for scholarly purposes, yes, Maharaj. For comparative study, yes, Maharaj. But essentially, Srila Prabhupada's view is the dominant view, prominent view. And in my view, the only view. If Srila Prabhupada says something, unless you think that Srila Prabhupada is saying something philosophically wrong, that would be philosophically an error to make. Because Srila Prabhupada, as you know, he packaged it for us. Let's put it that way. He packaged it for us.
Can I have a follow-up one? So it cannot be adjusted according to time, place, and circumstances? Any at all? It's just like, that's it?
No. Srila Prabhupada, I mean, there's some things we do today that in Srila Prabhupada's time we didn't do, right? There are some changes there. The GBC as the guardians of ISKCON and the devotees, that's their job. Their job is to preserve the doctrinal integrity, at the same time make the adjustments that are required. But it's not done whimsically. It's a very serious matter, extremely serious matter. Because then somebody will come in 100 years from now who's very charismatic and change everything. So you can't have that. See, yeah? When Prabhupada says that my books are the law books for mankind for the next 10,000 years, what is he saying? It's the law book, it's the reference book. Yeah?
Thank you.
It's exactly prashad time. Is a mic here? Last question.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for taking us through this quick ride of Bhagavatam. My question, Prabhuji, is it talks about cutting the knot, which is quite famous. Keep talking about hṛdaya-granthi. Sometimes when a sadhu cuts the knot, it's not always with anesthesia. So
Yeah.
how does one deal with it?
Yeah, that's true.
How does one deal with it?
Yeah, I agree. Srila Prabhupada would say fool and rascals and I mean, actually, I'll just finish up with this. I was a 14-year-old boy and I was a Christian, a fanatical Christian, a born-again Christian. And I saw these Hare Krishnas chanting on the street. I said to myself, I have to save these people. So I went there. And I think devotees, some of the other, they're able to identify a fanatical person from another faith. So that one devotee very gently told me, we don't really have time. But I didn't ask him anything. He just said, we don't really have time now, but take this book. And of course I couldn't take the book. I mean, I'm trying to save this guy. What is he giving me a book for? But anyway, there was something about that book that was a push and pull and push and pull. There was something happening in that few milliseconds that I eventually just took the book. I put it under my jacket. I didn't want anyone to see because I felt it was like a sense of defeat or something. Yeah. The devotee never said a word and he thanked me for taking the book. And I went home in my room and I started to read. I read the first 60 pages and I wanted to find who is this Prabhupada because I was totally convinced. The point is that Srila Prabhupada's words are very potent, very, very potent. And Srila Prabhupada's words has touched so many people in this world. They've become devotees because of Srila Prabhupada's words. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrindi ki jai, Gaur Premanandi.
Jai Jai His